also, you got to be able to, we want to know what's the most, remember, think about our 2 research questions. So in this interview, we need to be able to explain what our answers were to the research question. Were athletes successful based off our ranking system? And then also which position overall in basketball was most successful? Okay, so I want all that to kind of.
So let's do this men's basketball.
Yes.
Okay. So and also, so when you do it, don't give the players names.
Yes.
You don't have to say the players' names, right? Just talk based off position. Don't say their names. Then also when you talk, kind of like elevate your voice a little bit so the audio can pick up. Because I'm going to splice it. I'm going to put it together so it'll be on my show on Comcast and Verizon. So just
just say the school.
Can they say the school?
No.
You can say a Power 5 school or mid-major or Division 2.
Yeah, because I don't want them trying to come to Bowie TV and they be like, now you got an issue with being sued.
Yeah, so that's what we don't want to do.
You're right, copyright issue. Okay, yeah. I don't need infringement. All right, so what's your name again? Kai?
Yes.
Peyton?
Audrey.
Audrey Slade.
Oh, okay. I was about to say. He confused me. So I was like, wait, all right. So, Kai?
Yes.
Peyton. Dre. Joe.
Ross.
Rick Ross. Got it. Let me know when you're ready.
Wait, question. So one of my players went to the NBA. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that. Just don't say his name.
Yeah, you
Can
can
I
say
say
that.
the team or no?
The NBA team?
That's a different way.
That's giving it away.
Yes.
Just say yeah. And yeah, just say he's in
Yeah.
the NBA. Let me get the timer and record.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Pitts from Bowie TV, Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. Once again, we are here at Bowie State University talking about the 2020-24 NCAA transfer portal. And on this group, we'll be discussing men's basketball. So if we can, go ahead and jump into it. If you can, kind of delve into what was the actual assignment.
So the actual assignment for our group was to investigate the transfer portal and find out how successful college athletes are after entering the transfer portal, and as well as look at which positions are most successful in the transfer portal.
Okay, so Kai, and throughout your research, what was the ranking systems for success that you find in your research in regards to the role player, starter, all conference, all American? Did the roles change when they transferred?
For my position,
And what position, if you can't say what position it was that you actually did as well?
I had a small forward position.
Okay.
And I did have a player who, his play changed.
Say stats?
Yeah,
Yes. You can say stats.
Okay. I had one season he was averaging 8 points a game, and then next season he jumped to 16.8 points per game. So for that particular player, I would say that his play changed a lot over that one season. But for my other guys, most of them were role players and they remained role players.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they transferred as role players, or they were role players at the first destination.
Yes.
And when they transferred, were they still in that same capacity, or did they drop?
They were basically the same.
Okay. Okay, so it was an even kill across.
Yeah.
Okay, Ross, what about you?
Well, to be honest, I mean, most of the players, they were not so good, but they kept improving themselves, they practiced, they prepared. So it's really a good thing that they're trying to, become the better athletes that we're meant to be.
4 years, when you talk about rankings, what would you say the ranking was? Would you say like how Kai described for us? He had one who actually excelled and he did better, where others, it was kind of flatline.
I would say they're probably like at least I would say average at best.
Okay.
Because they weren't so good, but they tried
Okay.
to be those better basketball players, I would say.
All right, Andre, what about you?
The ratings that I found, majority, I had the shooting guard position.
Okay.
Majority of the players, all 5 of the players that I had, they were role players, and they all transferred from mid-major down. I mean, from either mid-major to Power 5 or Power 5 to mid-major. Two of them did wind up finding success. One of them found success as a role player. He led the team. He was fourth in the conference for free throw percentage and led the team in 3-point scoring. And another, he was named to the AC All-13 at the school he wound up transferring to. But the other three, they were pretty much still role players once they transferred out.
Okay.
So it really wasn't much of a difference outside of the two those two.
And you said small forward?
I know I had actually.
Shooting guard.
Yes, sir.
Ross, what was yours on? What did you do your research on?
I guess
Or was it more than one position? Or was it just one position?
maybe like one position, I would say.
Okay. Jody?
So I had the point guard position, and most of my players that I researched were role players except for one. One started probably half the game during the season before they transferred, and then when they transferred, they started every single game, and they led their conference in assists as well as points. So they kind of took they were a major part of the team, but on the team that they transferred to, he was like the number one option, and he led his team in all the stats and kind of excelled after he transferred, and I had the point guard position.
Okay.
I had a power forward position. I would say maybe two players, like kind of like transferred over and was decent.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say decent,
So
was they, because some people can clarify prospectively decent as like, that could be a step up, or decent to me sometimes like, nah, you just didn't cut the cloth.
okay, they was at their power 5 school first. They was decent at like I would say probably like bench player type of thing, like six
Okay,
or
so
something.
role player.
Yeah, but then when they went to their second school, they was actually doing something.
Now, was the second school, did they transfer across or did they transfer down? Like,
Across.
so they went to another Power 5 school.
school.
Okay, and when they went to the other Power 5 school, were they still a role player, bench player, or were they now starters?
One of them was starter, one still was a bench player.
Okay,
But he's still like a 6 man type of thing. So he was still doing something but wasn't doing like that now.
okay. Payne, I'm sorry.
I had center.
Okay,
I had one center. He transferred laterally. He went from being a role player and then a starter when he transferred, and he ended up making one of the all-conference teams.
okay,
Another guy, he went from starter to starter. He had a significant role for the team, but it wasn't anything like a all NCAA or all conference or anything like that. And then the rest of my three, all my players transferred laterally. So,
okay.
and then like I said, the last three, they pretty much went from either starter to starter or role player, or did not play.
Okay. So Ross, within your research, would you say that there is a position that was more successful than others when entering the transfer portal?
Well, in my own opinion, of course.
Okay.
I feel like there would be more because, brings more opportunity to players that want to get that role, get that, position, to start playing in the game, to be honest.
Okay.
And also to add on to what he's saying, I would say, just me personally, the position I was doing was point guard, and one of my players made it to the NBA. So
Okay.
I would say my position was the most successful.
I'm not gonna argue what he said because based off the research, I feel point guard was successful as well.
Okay.
But I also had a center that currently is in the NBA right now, and I think I had another player that's overseas.
Okay.
Professionally.
Who's gonna go ahead and say something?
I was gonna say, are we judging the success off of just them making it to the league?
I guess honestly, when you talk about overall, you talk about their stats, you talk about their progression. So like if I transfer, say I think you said it, like so I here at Bowie State I'm doing eight points a game, right? But then I transfer and I'm 16 points and 3.2 assists and my rebounds like statistically, that is an increase, that's a success, right?
Yeah.
But longevity, but sometimes you have players who they're at one school and they're 8 points a game and they transfer and they're going 4 points a game,
Yeah.
right? They're not even starting anymore. They're now bench players. So that would not be a success.
Right.
So success meaning like the purpose of the transfer portal, or I would think that their purpose of the transfer portal is to be able to move to an organization or a university that they feel they can excel at better.
Right.
So excelling, but also understand that, even with the transfer portal, you can't have the transfer portal athletically without it academically.
Right.
Because nobody's taking anybody in the transfer portal who is walking around and they only get the grades when it's the season of that sport. And then once that season is over, they blah, 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 bye.
Yeah.
So athletically and academically, they're intertwined when it comes, and when you talk about the transfer portal.
But it did seem like the point guard and center position did better than the
Overall.
yeah.
And it's funny that you guys say that because in the Group 2 women's basketball, those two positions were the same positions that they said were the most successful when you talk about the transfer portal and those who were successful in the transfer portal. Why do you think that trend is for men's basketball? Why do you think that? Well, let me get Andre for this one. Why do you think the trend for the men's basketball, for what they say, is the center and the point guard?
Well, point guard, when you look at it, they're handling the ball more, so they have more of a scope on them, and then so when they're able to get to a better situation and showcase the skills you have, it works better there. And along with the center, that's like their partner. It's like a lot of pick and rolls. So when they're both able to go to a better situation, they're able to showcase their skills more, and I feel that that's why that they are rated up higher amongst the transfers.
Okay. What was you
I was
gonna
gonna
say?
say, adding on to what he said, the point guard kind of controls the whole offense, and professional teams and teams at a higher level are looking for that. So if they see potential in a point guard that can control their offense and direct the players the way they need to go to be successful and to win games, they're going to do that and find the best talent that they can for that position. And like he said, the center is their defensive anchor and can help the point guard pick and rolls, rebounding, stuff like that. So those two are kind of like the anchor of a team, I would say. And when those two positions are filled at a good level, then they kind of excel the team.
All right. Did anybody want to piggyback on? Yeah, I kind of agree.
They
took the okay. So when you look at the transfer, when you did your research, did you find any pros and cons that came with the transfer portal?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, pay.
It's all good. But yes, some of the pros we saw, it definitely gives athletes an opportunity to, like express their desire for, wanting to control their life. At first, before the portal, it was you had to sit out a year and everything like that, and you were still. It felt like you were controlled by somebody because the coach had to like sign off and everything like that. Now I don't know. I can't remember if a coach still has to sign off, but so you see.
You are your own. You basically are your own agent.
So it's similar.
Nobody want to be there. That's what it is.
So it's similar to like how the professional teams do the free agency period.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the transfer portal is, and a con of it is basically like what we're doing our research on. Like, are they really successful? Like, was it a point in the transfer, and should they have stayed at that first institution and just continue to grind and wait their turn, or because like you said, a lot of our players they remain the same player once they transfer. So that was most of the con.
I would say like I'm sure most of the guys that we have dreams of playing professionally, whether it's overseas or in the NBA. And I'll say a con with it would be like sometimes you might have a player who's just transferring every year just because he's not getting what he wants. You're not gonna make it to where you want to be that way. So I think there should be a bit more guidance for you guys as they're transferring.
That's a good one, guys. Because like you said, they just transfer. So, like, got
It
it.
gets too hard.
Yeah, they gone.
And I think that's one of the things that when I have shows and we talk about it is I think that it allows an opportunity to where you don't have to work through the adversity, right? So it's kind of like it allows you to quit and then move forward. But in real life, like you can't get your job and quit and think you about to go hit a transfer portal just to get hired. When they're like, hold up, did you just quit at that one? Like, why would I think you're gonna be loyal to me? Right? So.
To piggyback off what they said, I think the pro is that if you think you're in a situation where you deserve to be playing more or you feel like your talent isn't being showcased in a way that you would like it to be, you can transfer to a different school, and it's been proven in some of the players that we've researched that they've excelled at a different school after transfer. So I feel like that's the positive of it. The con is that some players are too willing to leave after just 1 year of something not going their way, and they can't really build, schools can't really build a team because there's so many kids entering the transfer portal and leaving, and they're not going to know who they can build their core around.
Right.
He pretty much does from that point. It's the main thing, I feel like he said, like how they're saying, I think it's not only stability, but they don't have that foundation. So if they make it to the next level, what happens your rookie year? If you make it, you're not getting the playing time, you're going to up and leave. They're just going to cut you because you've proven us nothing at this point.
Right.
So yeah.
We got a question off camera. You couldn't read your question off camera.
So yeah, from the background, do you think, this is you guys to answer, do you think the amount of students who enter the transfer portal will increase or decrease in the future?
Increase.
Yeah, increase for sure.
When you said, I'm sorry, can you repeat your question?
Do you think the amount of students who enter the transfer portal will increase or decrease?
Oh, it already has. Every year, the number of students that enter the transfer portal increases tremendously. But the crazy thing about the transfer portal is that you leave that one school, they rescind that offer, right? Nobody picks you up in the transfer portal. You're sitting in the transfer portal. So now what? Now where do you want to school? Now how you funding school? Now when you talk about before how when you enter the transfer you was forced to sit here. Oh well, you get left in the transfer portal, then what?
Like that kind of starts in high school though. A lot of these kids, like their freshmen and seniors, freshmen and sophomore years will transfer to different schools and try to get better opportunities, and then they once they get it, they think it's going to transfer to college, and then they're stuck in the portal. So I feel it does start in the high school level.
Oh wow, so you're saying that the trend starts at the high school level? Yeah, well, but you know that the state of Maryland, you can actually be a high school athlete and have NIL deals. Certain states, high school athletes are able to garner NIL deals. But go ahead, somebody on this side had a statement or that they want to do.
I did. When you mentioned players sticking in the portal, I can speak personally. I put my name in the portal about 2 years ago, and still nothing, and I'm just here going to school now. But
Wow.
yeah, so I definitely everything you mentioned, I can kind of relate to just a little bit.
Yeah, so when you talk about that experience, like, of course, thankfully, you're still able to, further your education, but like, how did that play on your mental? Like, because you gotta think, you're gambling on yourself to leave an institution that gambled on you. And now you're gambling on yourself to leave that institution for institutions who did not really give you any interest prior to.
It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough. It's definitely taking so long, especially if you believe in yourself, you believe you can make a contribution to team. Not just me, but for anybody who's now still in the portal or going through something similar. You definitely believe in yourself. And like I say, you definitely believe you can contribute to any team that will be willing to pick you up. But sometimes you just gotta face reality.
Well, thankful for you, you didn't sit in that moment. Like, you still propelled and you still pushed forward and you still found your way to a university campus, despite the fact that you felt like your worth. You know what your worth is. Everybody has a value of their self-worth. And not all the times other people is going to see that the way we see it, right? So sometimes I think that we have to, what I call a self-worth humility check, right? Sometimes we have to really take a look, okay, now I gotta, what I've shown them is what I've shown them. Now when there's somebody new, it's like you gotta kind of do that all over again, but better.
Yeah.
Right, so this was fun, man. I appreciate you guys. I am Pitts from Bowie TV, Pitts and Play Sports Talk Radio. We are going to wrap this up. Appreciate you guys. Any last remarks before we jump off? Anything from you, Ross?
I'm good.
Good. Dre?
Appreciate you.
Dre?
Thank you.
Good. It's a wrap.